Hello everyone, and welcome to Up All Night with the Sollycast 2014 with our next episode. We are here back. Say hello everyone.
Hello. Goodbye.
Oh, Matt's decided to say goodbye. Right, okay. So, you join us here where we are going to be telling you some really weird stuff we've found, right? Basically, there's a lot of weird and supernatural things that happen on this planet. Some of them are fake, some of them are real. What I found here are actual accounts of things that are supposedly have happened to people. And some of them are really weird. They're not necessarily horror stories or anything. They're more like stuff you can't believe would happen. And just weird things that are mildly scary. Yeah. So, here today you're going to hear some. Because they're really weird. And it's going to scar you for life.
Unfortunately.
Right, so Matt will begin.
Okay.
You're first in line.
Alright.
They're quite short, right? They're more like anecdotes and stuff. And some of them think, well, maybe that's a bit weird. But, oh yeah, and you can minimise the window or whatever. You can just do something else. This is just to listen to. There's no visuals for this.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go.
Okay, so about 15 years ago, I was working at the smallish company. They had about 75 employees. The owner of the company ended up selling it, and the new owners came in and cleaned house. They fired about 15 people. A guy that I worked with, I call him Dave here, was one of them. Dave was shocked that he was fired. Most people didn't get along with Dave because he was odd. He had a short temper and sometimes yelled at people, and had some personal grooming problems like bad dandruff and body odour, so many people were glad to see him go, and it was not a shock to many of us that he was fired. About a week after the mass firing, I am at work and get a phone call from Dave. He tells me that he wants to take me out to lunch as a way of saying thanks for my recently teaching him how to run a few different machines. That knowledge will help him to get a new job. I agreed to go, and a few days later he shows up at lunchtime. I had assumed he was taking several people from there out, but it turned out to be just me. At lunch things started off fine, then got strange. He was upset about being fired and was angry. I let him vent and sympathise with him. He had been there several years and felt betrayed. As lunch starts to wind down, he tells me that I was one of the few people he liked there, and that there were people there that he would love to hurt. It was a little strange, but I just thought he was still venting. We get in his car to drive back, and he starts telling me how easy it would be to lock the doors from the outside with boards and burn the place down, or to do damage to it. As we pull into the parking lot, he tells me not to worry, that even if he could hurt some of the people, I was his friend. The way he said it really gave me the chills. I said goodbye, got out of the car and went inside. There was a window near my boss's desk that looks out to the parking lot. I could see Dave's car from there. He wasn't leaving. He was just sitting in his car. Lunch ends and everyone goes back to work, and Dave was just sitting there. I didn't tell my boss we need to call 911. Dave said some strange things, and I think he might try to hurt someone. My boss called 911 and the police get there within a few minutes. They talked to Dave, got him out of his car, and then put him in the backseat of a police car. They then used his keys to open the trunk. In the trunk they found a few boards, some rope, and a few guns. They talked more to Dave, and he agreed to be taken into custody and to get some help. I don't know if he would have done anything, but the way the building is designed, he had decided he could have shot a lot of people in a very short period of time. I was so freaked out I couldn't work the rest of the day. That was enlightening.
And the scary thing is that these things are said to be real. So the fact that people do that is weird. So she didn't call the police for her.
Hmm.
Serious crap could have gone down. Right. That's sure the next one. Right, it's quite
Right.
a short one.
There's an abandoned house next to mine. The previous owner moved out to California 25 years prior and never sold it. I got a flashlight, gloves, and pushed the window open and went inside. Starting in the basement. In the basement was a grand piano. Still plays, but very much out of tune. Old World War II stuff seemed to be signed Elvis poster. Some of the really cool shit. Sorry for the language. No one should ever have left behind. There's basically a whole story in that basement, including broken wedding picture frame and instruments everywhere. On the main floor was an unmade bed, moulded food still in the fridge, and on the stovetop, half-empty beers turned solid, lights and that still hadn't been turned off. Then I started walking upstairs when I heard crying from one of their side rooms. That's when I was freaked the F-U-C-K out and haven't been there since.
And that is why you don't go into abandoned houses.
Hmm.
Crying, I don't think that's ever real.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. It probably could be someone just getting a bit paranoid. But no
Like
matter.
I think it's fake. Sounds fake.
It's freaking gay.
Okay, this one's a bit weird. Called Twisted Backwards Couple. Okay, I was just talking about this today. Scary because of human nature. My neighbour at my old apartment was a state park ranger for years, now retired. Apparently, when he first got the job, there was a younger kid who went missing while out on a camping or hiking trip. They organised a huge search of the area to no avail. No clues or anything. The kid is just missing. A few years ago, some evidence turns up that wasn't in the direction they originally searched. It was part of his camping equipment. On his off time, my neighbour took to searching the area where it was found, hoping for more clues. Just outside the state park lived a couple in a ramshack hovel who were quite reclusive and odd. One day my neighbour had to talk to them about something unrelated to the missing kid. He was in the house, which is a mess of junk, no running water, etc. Hard to focus on anything there. While he was talking to the couple, he realised that the guy's ashtray looked weird. He looked closer and realised that it's a skull, and it looked small. There's this investigation into the couple, and here's where the things get really weird. An investigation shows that they were innocent of killing the kid. He probably died of exposure or dehydration. Apparently this guy came across the body afterwards, and his dogs were after it. When he took the skull, it was really recent after death, and apparently was still a head feature, hair and everything. The guy took it and defleshed the damn thing, and took the top off to use as an ashtray. Apparently he was well aware that there was a current search for the missing child, and could recognise the kid from the picture, but it never dawned on him or his wife to go to the cops and inform them of the find. He just saw an opportunity for an ashtray. Apparently he showed them where the remains were, and they scrounged together enough for a burial, but kept it quiet so that the family didn't know. Some guy put on his marbles in the kid's head for 5 years after letting his dog eat his remains. It's just weird that people would actually do that.
Oh, Greg.
Weird tramp people. Okay, Matt, we'll go again.
Okay.
Is it properly recording? Doesn't look like it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it looks really quiet.
Okay.
Right. Wow. World of War. About 2 years ago, my ex and I went through a really nasty breakup. Lots of crying and nasty words said. It became apparent that she had a lot of emotional problems and really wasn't the important person I thought she was. Lots of anger and lots of lying, as I discovered. Pardon me. And to make things stranger, she is the one who dumped me multiple times, and was absolutely furious when I finally accepted it and told her it was time for her to go. I wasn't exactly perfect here either, but that's what happens. I had also started a new and healthy relationship at this point, maybe 3 weeks after the primary breakup, which pissed her off to no end. Anyways, she shows up one day to collect some belongings that were still at my place, and she sits me down on the bed and hands me a note telling me to read it out loud. It was a really nasty speech about how I'm incapable of love and a terrible person and deserve to die. I refuse, but she's screaming at me, and I was just like, fine, I'll read it, if it'll make you go away. So I finish the speech, and she pulls out a loaded gun from her purse, and spends about the next 15 minutes trying to muster the will to pull the trigger and splatter my brain all over the wall. She says she knows the law, she knows she'll be caught, she knows where she'll go to prison, and she's fine with it because it'll be off this planet. So I spend this time trying, poorly, not to totally freak out and with tears streaming down my face, telling her that she's not a killer and just needs to go live her life without me. We parted with a hug, and I just learned she got engaged to a new guy a couple months ago.
Oh, what a freaky bitch.
Imagine being in that situation.
Yeah. That
Just
guy,
get killed. What would you
he's
do?
hard as nails.
Someone had a gun to your head, though.
I don't know.
Freak out? Would you try and stop? Right, okay.
I'd get
Next
free
one. This is
settling.
another short one.
I'd get a bit
Yeah,
freaky.
Unsettling.
That's unsettling.
Oh,
God, what
I've
the hell are
played
you
that.
doing?
Ooh,
Yeah, I was playing that the other day.
let's go.
Lobadort. I moved to Montreal and got a new Canadian phone number. Over the 8 months, I'd get texts and calls from French people at strange hours of the day asking for Nina several times a month.
Nina.
On April,
No.
Shut up.
Smash. Sure.
On an April morning, while I was in bed, I got a call from a withheld number from some French woman asking for Nina. Apparently, she was with Montreal police and Nina had been missing for over a year. That was a very good one. It was rubbish, to be honest.
Although I'd be quite scared if my phone rang in the middle of the night and just heard French. It would be like Lost. I don't know if anyone's ever seen Lost. Probably not.
Lost.
They get better. Okay. The Watchers. The summer between my freshman and symphony years of high school, a friend of mine and his family moved in with his grandma. They were buying a house that ended up having to have some work done on it, so his grandma invited them to live with her while they waited for the house to get finished. She had a beautiful big house, and it was just her and my family's cousin that lived there, so there was plenty of room. My friend's cousin was 2 years older than me, and was going into her senior year of high school. The house's living room had a vaulted ceiling with floor-to-ceiling windows on all sides. It looked amazing, but gave you no real privacy. It wasn't a big deal, though, because the house sat about 500 feet off the road and had woods surrounding it on all sides. Shortly after my buddy and his family moved in, I went over on a Saturday to spend the night. My buddy's room was small, so we decided to sleep on the 2 couches in the living room. Just as we were getting ready to sleep, about 1 a.m., we see someone walk past the window outside. We freak out. We get his dad, who shuts off the lights in the house about 100 feet away in a tree line. You can see a small red light as 2 people pass a cigarette back and forth. They're just standing there watching the house. His dad calls the police and then opens the front door and yells at the 2 guys to take off. The police find nothing over there. The woods are full of little game trails, so there's no telling where the guys went. The interesting thing is that there are only 3 houses within a mile of this house, and none of them have older kids. One has very small children, and the other 2 have no kids, so we have no idea where the people came from. A few weeks later, another friend and I both spent the night there. The 3 of us walk into the living room at about 10 p.m. to watch a movie, and there is a guy standing looking in the window. We freaked out, and he runs off. Again, we can see the lights of the cigarette in the distance. Over the course of that summer, there were multiple encounters with the Watchers. There were 3 places they would come and stand, and we could never forecast it if they would come or where they would go. They would knock on the windows once they shut the front door so hard it set off the burglar alarm. At times we would just see them in the tree line watching the house. Once they took lipstick and wrote "hello" on the window. During the day, we combed the woods trying to find them, but never could. We thought it was likely to be guys from our school trying to catch a glimpse of my buddy's cousin in her bikini, or her underwear because she was hot, but it would have been a hell of an effort just to maybe catch a glimpse. We never found out who it was. Eventually the house my buddy's family was buying was fixed and they moved. Who the Watchers were and what they were wanted is still one of the greatest mysteries of my life.
Personally, I'll get an air rifle and shoot them. I would honestly snipe them. And snipe their feet and things and snipe...
Why would people waste their time doing that?